New technologies are constantly making healthcare more reliable and less invasive. Childbirth has improved significantly. Forceps that have been in use for centuries are now being replaced by less invasive, suction-based devices. Even minimally invasive surgery of the abdomen has improved. Procedures that used to require large incisions and lengthy recoveries can now be done laparoscopically through tiny incisions, small enough to cover with a Band-Aid. But there's still room for improvement, even with minimally invasive surgery. It's hard to believe, but a common method of starting the procedure is to invasively lift the abdominal wall using these towel clips. I know, right? It's not ideal for surgeons or for patients, and Lapivations is going to change that. We're a medical device company focused on creating a platform of innovative products that improve laparoscopy. And our first product will replace those towel clips, just like suction devices are replacing forceps. My name is Jared Greer. I'm the founder and CEO of Lapivations and co-inventor of our first product. I'm an entrepreneur who's been in medical sales for 15 years. I've started multiple businesses in diverse industries and even had a successful exit from one of my lifestyle businesses. My co-founder is Dr. Chris Taylor, who's completed over 4,000 minimally invasive surgeries. And Dr. Taylor is able to quickly identify surgical frustration points and potential solutions. Chris had been bothered by the use of towel clips for a long time, and he brought me an idea for a new device that would be less invasive. His surgical experience combined with my experience selling to hospitals, we feel that that gives Lapivations a strong foundation and a real chance for success. Over the past 6 months, we've begun building out our management team. Flavia is our director of marketing, and she has experience on the global brand marketing team at Nike. Michael's our director of finance, a certified Six Sigma black belt with 16 years experience in the financial industry. So now Dr. Taylor's going to tell us why surgeons are still using towel clips.
The biggest risk with laparoscopy, and frankly the scariest part for most gynecologists, is the potential for piercing the bowel or a vascular structure at the start of the surgery when we don't have visualization into the abdominal cavity. That kind of injury can get real serious really quick. For many of us, it's our #1 frustration with laparoscopy.
To reduce this risk, many surgeons will grab and lift the abdominal wall by hand to get away from those vital organs. But as you can see, it can be tough to get a good grip, especially if the patient is obese or real skinny, or if the surgeon has small hands or a weak grip. It's when they can't get a good grip, that's when they resort to using the towel clips, which are clearly invasive and significantly increase the post-op bruising and pain for the patient. We've confirmed that this is a significant frustration point by interviewing over 100 laparoscopic surgeons from all over the world. Not only are they frustrated by the current techniques, they're interested in new solutions. And Lapivations has developed that solution. Let me introduce you to AbGrab, an FDA Class 1, patent-pending, single-use medical device that uses existing OR wall suction to attach to and lift the abdominal wall. As you can see, AbGrab provides a reliable yet non-invasive way of lifting tissue. It's more reliable than manual grasp because it works every time, regardless of surgeon hand size or grip strength, and it works on patients of all sizes. AbGrab also provides a non-invasive alternative to towel clips. This gives us a significant competitive advantage over both standard lifting methods. AbGrab can also be used without the surgeon altering their surgical technique, and minimal training is required. My 7-year-old picked up an AbGrab on the kitchen table the other day. He knew exactly what to do. And finally, since AbGrab uses existing OR wall suction, surgeons can use it without any additional capital equipment purchase by the hospital. These benefits are key to our quick adoption by surgeons and hospitals for AbGrab. So let's take a look at our go-to-market strategy. Our strategy is built upon my 15 years experience selling to hospitals and has been validated by many successful medical device startups. We will launch with a small direct sales force and regional distribution partners who already have established relationships and call points with hospitals and minimally invasive surgeons. After we gain market traction, it makes sense for us to transition from our regional partners to national distributors, such as Cardinal Health or McKesson. We've already begun taking the steps to establish the connections in order to do this. So what milestones do we need to hit in order to get to market? We've been working with engineering design firm Della Medical on product design and prototyping. We've bench tested the prototypes to confirm performance metrics, and we've used them for customer validation, which so far has been very promising. We will finalize or freeze our design in the next month and then transition to our contract manufacturer, Medical Murray, to fabricate tooling, manufacture an initial batch of product, and complete the required design, validation, and verification testing. This will take 6 to 9 months and will allow us to launch AbGrab in the US in late 2018. So how are we able to get a medical device to market so quickly? It's because AbGrab is FDA Class 1, exempt from having to file a 510K, and exempt from design controls. FDA classification is so crucial to our business strategy. We had 2 FDA regulatory consultants confirm this assessment. Now, this may be the most important thing we share with you today. Class 1 devices, because they're deemed to be such low risk, are not required to complete any preclinical or clinical trials. All we do is register with the FDA and follow good manufacturing practices, which is as simple as using an FDA-registered, ISO-certified contract manufacturer, and we've already secured one with Medical Murray. Because AbGrab is FDA Class 1, that's how we get to market so quickly and capital efficiently with our product. Something just as crucial as IP strategy. We conducted a nationwide search to find a patent attorney who focuses almost exclusively on medical devices. And we own the IP unencumbered. We are not licensing the technology from Arkansas. Dr. Taylor and I invented AbGrab, so Lapivations isn't burdened by any licensing or royalty agreements that suck cash from the top line. And lastly, our portfolio includes a patent and a trademark that have already been allowed, a continuation application, a PCT application, and a new provisional application for additional claims. So now let's take a look at the size of our market.
At $50 per surgery, the total global market for AbGrab is $750 million. 75% is concentrated in the 3 markets we'll target initially: the US, Europe, and Japan. And minimally invasive surgery is absolutely on trend, with the number of global laparoscopic surgeries growing at over 10% annually. And AbGrab's price point is the same as other suction-based devices that are currently in the market for different procedures. So hospitals are already very familiar and comfortable with that price point. We have also been able to interview hospital purchasers to validate that our low cost allows us to skip or avoid those value analysis committees in many hospitals, which reduces the risk of hospital pushback and also shortens our sales cycle. As for cost of goods, we already have soft quotes of $5 for a packaged and sterilized AbGrab. Once we freeze or finalize the design, we'll get firm quotes. However, we may even be able to make it for as little as $1 once we hit production volumes. Now, there are 75,000 laparoscopic surgeons in the USA only. Each surgeon performs, on average, 300 surgeries per year, which means that at a price point of $50 per surgery, we only need under 600 surgeons to achieve a revenue of over $9 million in 2019. In 2020, just under 2,000 surgeons to achieve revenues of over $32 million, and in 2021, just under 3,000 surgeons to generate over $48 million in revenue. Now, this is about 4% of the current market in the US. But to put this into perspective, other suction-based devices in the US already grabbed the 25% market share in the birthing space. Lapivations will be profitable in 2019, and by 2021, we're going to generate over $10 million in net income. Now, we've been talking a lot about AvGrab. Let's switch gears and address our future product portfolio. We've been developing a line of products, and also we've been working with AvGrab in extending the claims in our current patent claim portfolio. There are also other tissue lifting problems which AvGrab can be a potential solution for, and we're currently addressing and studying those markets. And there are also major problems in laparoscopy in which we have been developing ideas that can address those problems with potential solutions in the future. Those are more expensive and time-consuming products, so our strategy is to bring AvGrab to the market, generate revenues, and then we can tackle those markets. And we've been able to complement our management team with critical advisors for every function that plays an important role in our business. Our board includes multiple life science executives with experience in investment and startup, a regulatory advisor, and a medical device patent attorney. We also have engineers with experience in design and contract manufacturing, a hospital purchaser, and a medical device startup CEO. Now, let's take a look into our offerings.
Since AvGrab is a Class 1 device, we will be able to go to market with only one round of angel funding. Current funding is $200,000, including $150,000 from our co-founder and a $50,000 investment from the Delta I funds. Lapivations is seeking an angel investment of $800,000 in exchange for a 20% equity. This will allow us to get AvGrab to market in the US and provide runway until Lapivations is sustained by its own revenue. We're going to use the bulk of that investment dollar to finish AvGrab development, purchase injection mold tooling, as well as purchase inventory. We will also use that to support our patent portfolio and the sales, marketing, and payroll expenses we are going to need to bring AvGrab to market in the US. At 3 times revenue, Lapivations will be worth $145 million by 2021. This will provide angel investors a 36 times return on their investment. Now, acquisition is likely our most potential exit strategy. Recent examples of acquisitions range from 3 to 5 times revenue. And our most likely potential acquirers are Medtronic, Boston Scientific, and J&J. Now we're going to summarize why Lapivations is a good investment.
Thank you, Michael. So in conclusion, we believe that a great need exists that Lapivations can meet. The need for a better method of lifting the abdominal wall, a validated pain point for laparoscopic surgeons. Since AvGrab is FDA Class 1, we've nearly eliminated the regulatory risk and slashed the lengthy time to market that faces most medical devices. And our product is a high margin product that addresses a $750 million annual market. And finally, our experienced management team, we're well prepared to execute a sound strategy that provides you, the angel investor, a potential 36 times return on investment. Please join us as we transform laparoscopy. We'd now like to open it up for any questions.
Well, first, congratulations, guys, on getting to the finals, and I have to congratulate you on the written plan and this presentation. They were awesome. If I'm investing in this, and that was great. You answered a lot of questions. The one pinch point is going to be around sales execution. You need 600 surgeons to adopt AvGrab in the first year, and I'd like you to go into more detail about the sales force, the size of the sales force, and how you're going to go get those 600 doctors.
You bet. And so we have a couple of slides. Go to the marketing, the targeting back slide. So Great question, and we actually got that question in the earlier rounds, and we've talked through this quite a bit. So our efforts are going to be multi-pronged. First of all, we're going to have a direct sales team that is employed. We've budgeted for 2 sales reps off the bat, plus obviously myself and Dr. Taylor will be taking part in the sales activities initially. We know that's not enough to hit these revenue projections quickly, so we are adding regional distribution partners that are already in these regional markets. They're calling on these laparoscopic surgeons. They're already in those hospitals. They have the relationships. So that's part number 1. Part number 2, it's going to be a multi-pronged approach where we are going to get key opinion leaders on board, right? So get the key opinion leaders who are influencing the next generation of surgeons. We're going to do that through trade shows, through conferences, tried and true method that I've used for 15 years in sales. But secondly, we're going to approach the high volume laparoscopic surgeons. Those aren't necessarily the key opinion leaders. They're not the ones in academics. That data is readily available. We get that data all the time in sales. And so we're going to target our efforts to those high volume surgeons. So did that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Question about reimbursement. This is a quick one, so I'm going to do. Does this need a reimbursement code, or is this?
It doesn't. So a hospital is going to be reimbursed with a CPT code for a laparoscopic surgery, whatever it is, gallbladder, hysterectomy, et cetera. So they're getting paid X number of dollars. And then their profit margin is going to be, that minus whatever they spend for the case. Okay. Laparoscopic procedures have a healthy profit margin. And we've actually talked to a significant number of hospital purchasing managers and other stakeholders within the hospital. They said a $50 per surgery price point, if this is something that a surgeon sees value in, will not even raise an eyeball.
Well, I would think also it minimizes the risk of a readmission.
Absolutely.
And significantly enhances their profitability. My question on your advisory board is, do you have, what are the expectations there? Are they expected to contribute minimally each month? Do you have a written agreement with them? Are they getting options or warrants? Overview that for me, please.
So far, it's all been informal. We were fortunate to be accepted into an I-Corps type accelerator program last year, and most of these advisors came from mentors within that program. It ranges from somebody like Bobby Sandage, if we can go back to our advisor slide. It ranges from somebody like Bobby Sandage, who is a general partner in a venture capital firm and a 30-year executive in life science companies. He has a weekly, if not a couple of times a week, involvement with our company. To some of these other individuals who we may talk to once a month when something comes up. So it ranges the full gamut.
Do you think you'll grow into a formal written agreement with them and regular meetings? And that's a pretty important part of this, I think, long term.
We think so, and then also as we get an angel investment, we'll have a formal board as well, made up of ourselves and those individuals.
I have 2 questions. One on your addressable market. You talked about it, especially funky with the patient who is obese, skinny, or if the surgeon has small hands. So are you, from an adoption standpoint, is the target market specific type of patients?
Right.
Undergoing surgery, what is that market? What's the percentage of
Absolutely.
the surgery? What's the obese and skinny and the small surgeon hands?
Thank you for your question. As early adopters, gynecologists are the group that we're focusing at first. We were able to identify that for 2 reasons. One, they have a very diverse practice. They spend a lot of time in clinic. They also do laparoscopic surgeries and deliver babies on a daily basis. So their focus is not 100% there. That makes them uncomfortable. It's different than a general surgeon that does that almost 100% of the time, every day in a higher volume. With that, gynecologists are more uncomfortable on top of having problems with grasping at times or smaller hands with a weaker grip. That adds up into that. The second point is that because they're not that comfortable, they have less training. They have less training and they're not doing this every day. With that, the risk increases when they're lifting. If anything happens during the trocar insertion, if they drop it and pierce the bowel or other vital organs, serious injuries can happen. And that's the first it's an embarrassing situation for the gynecologist, as they have to call a general surgeon to come on the rush, and that kind of challenges the hospital system as well. So with that, they don't want to get into that situation. If you do drop it and have the surgery, it's a longer process. You can start having mortality rates included in case the general surgeon cannot fix the problem. So we see a lot of potential with gynecologists at first, but we'll continue to explore other markets within the surgeons and also those other opportunities we talked about in a potential portfolio extension.
So the quick follow-on there was my second one on the risk. So what's the risk with of the piercing of the underlying organs, especially if the gynecologist is using your device and are you guaranteed with your device that there won't be any risk?
Yeah, so the risk of the serious adverse events is right around 1%. Now, the challenge with that is that when it happens, it gets real serious real quick, especially for a gynecologist who has to bring in another surgeon, like Flavia said. So when you look at the benefits of AbGrab, we don't think that we're going to make a safety claim simply because it's difficult to have enough funding and have a large enough study to show a statistically significant difference between our method and these other methods. And it's interesting, when you do a literature search, there are multiple ways of inserting the trocar, there are multiple ways of lifting the abdominal wall. None have ever been, in the literature, shown to be different because of that very fact. However, it's easy for the surgeon to see that if I have a more reliable technique than grabbing and dropping it all the time, it's easier for them to connect the dots that if I'm not dropping it while that trocar is going in, there's probably less risk for that serious adverse event. And then on the invasive side, it's a no-brainer, right? Less invasive than the towel clips.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
So one of my questions is related to your critical risks. And this has to do with competitive dynamics and your intellectual property. So one of your slides, it talked about your competitors, the Boston Scientifics and the J&Js and the Medtronics, and these companies are valued at hundreds of billions of dollars. So what's going to prevent any of them from designing around your IP or coming up with new alternatives? And how are you going to deal with that?
Yep, so we have a two-pronged approach. And just to take a step back, that's a question that we have gotten a lot. And I work for Medtronic, the largest standalone manufacturer of medical devices in the world. We don't typically do that. It's easier for us to just buy the company and incorporate that company in the portfolio. So that's number one. But number two, the two-pronged approach is that we want to build an IP fence around lifting tissue using suction-based devices. And so we've done that and tried to anticipate all of the different ways, of course we can't do them all, that companies would engineer around our product. One of our patents is on creating vacuum using a handheld pump. The other is using wall-based suction. We've got a number of different features in there, probably 30 different embodiments total between the two. But we know that the IP fence is only a shield, right? So we feel like our sword is going to be aggressive and nimble R&D so that we can innovate and bring out new features as part of our portfolio before other companies would design around us.
Thank you.
So how do you change the standards of care that surgeons use in the surgical suite?
It's really hard sometimes. So a lot of times when I go into the operating room, which I'm in the OR all the time, I ask doctors why they are doing different techniques the way they are. And the answer, 9 times out of 10, that's how I was trained, okay? So part of our marketing strategy, which was, we can go back to that targeting slide. Part of our strategy will be to target residency programs. And those key opinion leaders, those attendings that are in that residency program teaching the next generation. So that's number one. The second aspect is going to be for surgeons who are already in practice. We feel like the gynecologists, because they are feeling this pain so acutely, are going to see the benefit here. And lastly, we're not asking them to change their surgical technique. AbGrab has been developed and engineered, and we've gone through about 100 iterations to make it where they can hold it exactly like they're holding the towel clips. And there are multiple ways to do that, and they can hold it in every single way.
Right, so my experience with changing the opinion of surgeons or other medical practitioners is that you get to the key opinion leaders. The way you do that is through peer-reviewed articles and then presentations at the major conferences. So if you're going to gynecologists, Do you have a paper that's peer-reviewed that's presented at the upcoming ACOG, which is the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology?
Yep.
Are you scheduled? Are you on the schedule for the 2018 ACOG meeting?
We're not scheduled yet, but we did go to the 2017 AAGL, which is the American Academy of Gynecological Laparoscopists.
Do you have peer-reviewed articles that are ready for presentation or poster?
They are not ready yet, but that's part of our that's part of our plan.
So how are you going to get into the market in 18 if you don't already have those? Because the cycles for selection are sometimes quite long.
They are.
It doesn't sound to me like you're going to be even ready until 2019 at the earliest to begin the approach to key opinion leaders.
Yep. So we've already begun approaching key opinion leaders, and we did so back in November at the AAGL conference. There were approximately 2,000 laparoscopic gynecologists there. We actually had an opportunity to sit down for about 15 minutes with the president of that organization, and that is the leading organization for laparoscopy for gynecologists. So we've already started those conversations. We actually at that conference interviewed a good number of those surgeons that we talked about on our validation slide. We spoke for about a half hour with the department head at Cleveland Clinic for OBGYN. So we've already started that informally, if not formally.
So is Cleveland Clinic prepared to do a trial?
So here's the great thing. My partner, Dr. Taylor, owns his own Medicare certified ambulatory surgery center. They're already a
No, I understand, but his clinical trials of a product that he owns bear no influential capability to influence the opinion leaders in the field. So the question is whether leading clinical practice institutions like Cleveland Clinic are prepared to try, adopt, and recommend.
We haven't made the ask yet. Dr. Taylor's facility is already a site for a clinical trial for another device, and so we're going to start there, get some data.
But that's like asking myself if I like what I've done.
I understand. We're going to
the answer is always yes.
That's right. We're going to start there, we're going to get some data, and then we're going to make that ask of those key opinion leaders.
Okay. Look, one last question. I apologize, and then I'll hand it off. One last question. What does it take to get a rep organization to actually represent your product? Put it on their catalog or their list of things that people are carrying around in their bag is one thing. Yep. To get the reps to actually sell is something entirely different. You have $48 million of revenue on your financial model with 4 salespeople. That means you are entirely dependent on reps. What does it take to get reps to sell a low price point item?
Hey, I am a rep. It takes money, right? You throw us some money and we'll sell your product. So a couple of things about that. To get a large distributor like Cardinal or McKesson, they're not interested in a little guy who doesn't have any market traction. That's one of their, and plus there are 40,000 products in their catalog. That's why we're going with the regional distribution model. There are fewer products in their catalog. Additionally, because of our cost of goods being so good, we have a lot of flexibility to offer creative incentive plans to those reps where they are making more commission on our products than they are on their products. And that is going to be part of our sales model. We've built in those numbers.
Okay, my turn. Okay, my turn. So the pivot point in your financial plan is this fast revenue ramp, right? If you don't have well, let's say that you cut your 2019, 2020, and 2021 revenue numbers in half. Then at that point, your plan B is to raise additional capital, right? I mean, looks like a great idea for a big market, but you either, as I look at this as an angel investor, that puts me at a lot of risk, right? You at a lot of risk too, but you're already taking the risk. So how do you respond to that?
Absolutely, Ken. So what we've done with our $800,000 ask is that will get us through the end of Q2, possibly the end of Q3 of 2019. Okay, so if we get to market at the end of 2018, we should have some revenues coming in. Should we not have enough runway, Dr. Taylor and I are prepared to make additional significant investments in the company. If we had to, we could go out and approach additional angel investors. So we understand that there is a risk of dilution. We don't think that will happen, and that will be the second option, not the first.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you very much.